Hi. Please excuse me, I am a bit tired, but I'm gonna have a go at making this video. Um, Regarding a particular sort of a style of knife. I think it's a kind of a style of knife, and I'm gonna call it the Sportsman's knife for the purposes of this video. So, the first one we can look at, well, let's look at this one. A fairly recent acquisition. Fairly sure it was on eBay. I came upon this one. Yeah, it's a Cutco. And there's nothing in the box. I think that predates me. I don't know what that is actually. I haven't noticed that before. Some kind of crust. Oh. It's like someone was grinding over it. Well, I'll clean that off later. I'll just take note of this right now. Kind of an unusual thing, really, but fairly sensible, I realize. I just tried taking it out and putting the knife in without it, but it fits better with it. And I guess, this is easy to remove and washable. So you've just been gutting something and you got to put the knife down. You don't want to put it on the ground or whatever. Pop it in there and you're not fouling your leather too much. No drainage hole. I guess that's a fairly recent innovation. The drainage hole on a sheath. Now you have to have it, but back in the day, I guess you just turned your sheath upside down. Oh, the knife. Just amazing. I just saw this blade and I just had to have it. Really thick, slim down here. This flat saber grind. It was used, and I haven't sharpened it. So I think somebody took it camping and then cut their vegetables on a plate. I think that's what happened, because it's really dull here, but it's still really sharp there and pretty good up at the point here. Just grab a chopstick. Yeah, I mean, it could do with a touch-up, I guess, but the geometry is just so slow. It's like practically like a zero grind. Maybe there's a micro bevel on there, but yeah. But that was pretty much invisible to my naked eye. Wonderful. So, what can I tell you about this knife? I don't know. I don't know what steel it's made even from, actually. Cutco, they used 440, I believe. Maybe 440C. It has a patent number here. And then on the other side, in the same place, it has something that I can't quite make out. On this resin handle. Very smooth. No, I don't think it would be very grippy. It looks like a TH. So, yeah. Enclosed tang construction. I don't know whether that's actually the tang peened out like that. I guess it is, huh? Oh, they peened the bejesus out of it, huh? Aluminum butt cap and collar. Plunge grind's a little off. But the grind is beautiful. And this etching, I suppose it's an etching. It's also fabulous. Little curlicues. Gorgeous, gorgeous knife. I love it. This second one, I'll keep that out maybe. This is a Carl Shlieper. I'll keep the suspense up. I have showed this knife before and this hunting license, but so I'll just show this, and if anyone wants to, they can pause and they can read through it. Or if you can scan really quickly, you get the whole thing. Electro Steel. Shout out to Captain Electro. Look a lot like the Puma knives, I believe. And this one looks like a Groman, spitting image of a Groman, right? Zollingen. 1950s, I believe. And Shlieper made the Sodbuster before case, allegedly. Well, I mean, a lot of people made a similar knife, but they actually sold it as a Sodbuster. Before case sold a knife called a Sodbuster. Is what I read somewhere. German Eye brand, also known as German Eye brand, Carl Shlieper. The polish on this thing. And we have some serrations here. Here's my shirt, Pendleton, and my vest, Filson, wool. I'm all about the wool this time of year. Oh, now what would this actually be? Is this stainless steel? Let me grab a magnet. I'm just curious. No. Aluminum or nickel silver? I don't know. You tell me. Anyway, check out these rivets. And this chunky stag. Very wide down here and very kind of flat. But kind of bizarre seeming, but it actually holds really well. So yeah, you can probably see why I'm kind of identifying these knives together. Although they have plenty of marked differences, but there are some marked similarities. The recurve, the blade length. I think the intended use, probably stock thickness might be quite similar. Now the Cutco, which looks so magnificent, formerly looks a little perfunctory now next to this one, which is really razzmatazz. It's got all kinds of details that might not really be necessary or even helpful come to the use, you know. The serrations kind of bug me, but it did occur to me that actually, because I like to whittle and I like to use this area, but the serrations can help you if you're working on something like, let's say this piece of cherry burl here, that, you know, it's pretty tough whittling with a straight edge, and it'll tend to tear out. But you can kind of plow furrows with your serrations and then clean that up later, easy. So potential, yeah, I don't know, like whittling use or whatever. I haven't taken it out and done really any chopping with it or anything, although it looks like it'd be great for that. It's got this kind of smatchet thing going on. We've had some shrinkage on the antler here over time, meaning now we have a wobbly guard. Not a big deal. Something kind of cool about the sheath is it's, you know, it's brand new kind of condition and really wonderful quality leather. Pretty similar to the Cutco in terms of feel and thickness. But yeah, this kind of more traditional, whatever you would call this, what is this, post and eye or something? Very nice. And the patina on these rivets, they're all green. The color is actually quite amazing. I don't know if it's coming through on the camera. Yeah. It's kind of hard to define. Octarine, right? The Terry Pratchett books. Octarine, the color of magic. There you go. So, more recently, I went to the Tractor Supply to pick up some supplies, but I kind of had a feeling they might have a knife for me in there. And in fact, there were some knives on clearance. And then one that I thought was on clearance but wasn't, which is this. Oopsie daisy. That's a warning, isn't it? I'm about to digress. This looks out of place now, doesn't it? Sog Adventurer. Very inexpensive knife. Now, I had already been given one of these by Smukwa when I bought Smoky Mountain Knife Works. I bought some stuff there, and they, you know, if you make an order, they'll send you some cheapo knife for free. And I was almost annoyed that they sent me this thing, because I'm like, well, now I've got a problem, right? Because this thing has all this play here, and it's kind of ugly, and so then I want to mod it and make new scales for it, and I don't know what. I had it kicking around, but you know, I saw this one. It was in the clearance box, so I thought it was on clearance. Turns out it wasn't, but it was still, it was inexpensive. It was like $14 or something. And it's so much nicer than this one. It's just so much nicer. It's absurd. And this one looks better on the camera than it does in real life. And even because of the coating, you know, this feels way thicker behind the edge than this one. And, you know, the polish on this and this, I'm like, and also, yeah, practically no play, a little side to side on this, but it's just a flexy knife, right? And the action is better. Well, okay, maybe not. Maybe it's just because Okay, the action's exactly the same. Okay, I digress. But now I have two problems. But this is a prettier problem than this. So, Tractor Supply. I'll just quickly show the other thing I got on clearance. And not only were these things on clearance, but then because I'm a customer, I'm a returning customer, you know, they got my number. When I was checking out, they said, oh, you can get an additional 20% off on clearance items today. Would you like to take that option today? I'm like, yeah. So I ended up spending, I mean, I think this was like $8 for this mossy oak machete. The handle is very nice. I mean, it feels really good. I don't usually like these synthetic handles, but this one feels really good. Feels like world class. No smell to it either. And not keen on the sawback, but I thought I might be able to make like a butcher knife or something out of this. I made a butcher knife recently and I've misplaced it. I wish I could show that now, because that's part of the narrative. But anyway, yeah, I made this butcher knife, and that got me thinking, you know, about these kind of knives. This is more like the shape of a butcher knife. Well, especially more this one. Okay, we don't have to get them out. You already seen them. We'll get them out again in a minute. But the other thing I got at Tractor Supply was a SOG Pinnacle Bowie, and that cost me a hair over $10. You get it online for 20. It's a super cheapo knife. But yeah, talking about the synthetic handle, so that was the handle of the SOG Pinnacle Bowie, and just my hands are very calloused in that, but this irritates my calluses no end. Just touching it, ugh. I'm not riding a motorcycle, but even if I were. So yeah, that's just history now. And the blade was had a sawback on it, and it had a black coating. Had a finger guard out here. Well, okay, no, I mean, yeah, that was the finger guard was built into the tang, as it were, so it went in here. Yeah, so I ground that off. And I tried to do this kind of sportsman's knife kind of thing. Obviously not finished. It's kind of scratchy at the moment. But I just did the brutal part of the grinding on an arbor wheel, and then the rest is with the Tormac. And it's 420. They just say 420 steel, so I don't know what 420 what, but that gave me hope, because 420 can be, you know, quite nice. And so here's what we've got. That, and I made this handle with apple wood. It cracked again, but because I left pith in here, see, I never learned my lesson. However, I think there's a solution to these cracks. This crack, it's really that one, and then there's one. So, yeah, this was a piece of apple wood, is a piece of apple wood. Well, it was one piece. I whittled out the shape. I made it flat on one side. Well, pretty flat on this side, vaguely flat on that side. I used T-Rex tape, the residue of which is visible here. I stuck this on with the tape and then drilled the holes that way through the whole piece. And then I split it with a saw. And so that's as far as we've got with that. I have to cut out the wells for the tang. And I have to make the pins with lilac. That's the plan. And a bolster and a butt. I didn't do that very well, did I? Yeah. So we can look at some features now. Take that off too. Although I will mention that I also, of course, agonized about all the handle materials. Eventually settled on the apple wood, and then I thought, well, you know, because of this big old hole that is there for the form, but I thought, well, you know, make a big pin. So I'll make lilac pins. This is some lilac pin stock that I pulled out. Oh no, wait, that was a piece that was hollow. I made a bead out of this, naturally hollow like that. Lilac wood, awesome stuff. I love it. There should be another piece of pin stock here, yes. So some cool patterns in it, you know, with the colors. You just lick this. So we're gonna do that on the Dremel mini lathe, and then this is not going to leave me a lot of space for a collar, so I'm going to go for a thin one using this old piece of FRN off a Buck Maverick. Right, so that doesn't look like much yet, but I think it will be nice and comfortable. Applewood feels really good in the hand. So yeah, I just wanted to examine these blades again. It's turning into a long video, but hey, you don't have to watch it. And probably shouldn't. I mean, unless you've got nothing better to do. Okay. Features. This is a draw point, and it actually has a sharpened swedge. So I think that, you know, this being a sportsman's knife, that isn't, you know, we're not thinking about tactical militaristic purposes necessarily, but I think there is a nod to that. But I think that this is Jagdnicke. This is for delivering the coup de grace, right? For dispatching an animal by stabbing them in the back of the neck. You got the guard there to stop your hand from sliding down, and you get them, you know, in between the vertebrae there and put them into a dead state quickly and mercifully. So that is more stabby, actually. But of course, because of this big belly, you know, you'd still be able to do your cuts and what have you, and used with agility, skinning and what have you. Although that, you know, I mean, because then, you know, it's okay. I guess, you know, you can still, you know, you could decide, you could actually just dull that in a minute, and then you could bring it up again in a minute. This is a clip point with swedge. But yeah, the point is much higher. This is more kind of butcher knifey to me. And this also has this little flat here, which I noticed I did a tiny bit of carving, and I noticed that this is really nice. Put your thumb on there. Wonderful. Feels great. And I guess you could also baton on that. But I wouldn't, but unless I had to. But and yeah, the edge on this thing is so aside from the sawback, which, because looking at these knives, this one has this kind of double curve here, but they have this very exaggerated well inwards kind of thing going on. I saw that was like the sawback was just perfect, because it's less grinding if it's a sawback than if it were a straight, because I don't like sawbacks, but it made it easier to remove that material. And yeah, this curve needs tidying up, right? It's looking a little awkward. This I'd like to bring this flat. I copied that, kind of tried to copy that flat there a little bit here. I want to bring that forwards. This was a Bowie style clip point, very exaggerated high point on it up here, and this came up to here, and the swedge was already there, but I'm kind of working with it. The swedge was kind of hollow ground, and I'm flattening that out now. And this hollow grind I basically tried to keep, but convex it out at the tip there. Not like an obvious duplex grind, but it is kind of that kind of thing, right? And I have been using this like this, even just like this is surprisingly comfortable. And it's a box cutting and some whittling. So I did most of the whittling of the applewood handle with this, actually, just to test it out. I'm going to cut a piece of paper or something. That's not an option. What we got? What's this? No, that's not cut worthy. All these papers around that I don't really want to. Ah, that's perfect. Cross. Now, let's bear in mind the paper has a grain. I don't know which way this grain is. But yeah, I did also do some box cutting with this earlier. It might have gotten a bit dulled. But it'll take an edge. We'll see how well it'll hold it. Let me grab my testing kit, file testing kit. One thing I didn't do yet is have a scratch on it with the hardness testing files. Okay. So that is biting. And that is skating. So we're probably talking 50. Yeah, well, then we would be talking like 58 to 60 Rockwell, maybe. So good. Exactly what you would expect and hope for from a reputable company making a budget knife in 420 steel. So, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's never going to be as fine or as marvelous, I don't suppose, a knife as either of these two. But in some regards, it may be able to hold its own. It's got a longer blade and be easy to sharpen. And it'll have the probably for me almost certainly for me it'll have by far the most comfortable handle of the three. If it doesn't, something's wrong, because I'm going to make it with my hand, and the Stag is wonderful, but actually this has some sharp edges on it, even which you could take care of. Yeah, that one there. That's nasty. Cut yourself on that practically. But I mean, it's very comfortable, but it's not as ergonomic as this one. However, this one has the tact of the resin. Is kind of, it's just not that good. To me, this looks like it should be ironwood. Imagine if that was ironwood. Oof, that'd be lovely. Well, it's been a long one, and I don't think I really have anything more to say about it. But for a bonus round, let me tell you what happened to me this evening. I have this knife, the Kwandong Hanwei knife. Very recent acquisition. Amazing knife. I'm blown away by this knife. This is buffalo horn with chased silver, and it's a button lock, and yeah, we're coming to that. The button works for open and close. It has a very kind of stiff hydraulic feeling walk, but quite smooth, and then the click into place in both directions. It's just so sweet and discreet. So I decided to get my Knife Rights pin out of its little plastic packaging and throw the packaging in the fire. And so I went and stood by the fire, and I took this knife out of my pocket because I'm carrying it today. I opened that little package and I threw it in the fire, and then I felt something go boink and bounce on the floor, and it disappeared. And it was identical to this. And it went here on this button here to match the scales, right? And I looked everywhere for it, but it really does appear that it just somehow got sucked straight into the fire and vaporized. So that was disappointing. I'm quite annoyed about it. I took the spare button off my shirt, which actually I need to put on my shirt. It's the spare button that that comes with the shirt. I removed it to see if I could just stick it on here, because this is really uncomfortable now. This is recessed and it has this little pointy thing there, but the button's too big. And in any case, my top button fell off, so I need to put this on the top button place. But you know what happened when I located it? But it was in the point of falling off by itself anyway. So buttons fall off, and this one did. And now what am I going to do? Should I try and replicate this, which will involve me learning to chase silver? Should I just stick a button on there? A little piece of lilac wood? I don't know. But that happened, and that kind of suddenly, you know, when you're having a great day and everything's just fine, and then suddenly the tone changes, just like that. You know, that happened, and then I was like, whoa, I got flustered, I knocked my coffee over, and then, you know, later I thought, okay, I'm gonna finally get around to. That might have been at about 1845, 1846 that happened. If we're using the 24-hour clock. So cross since 1846. That's me. Man, this is Gerst's Whittler, right? And you know, look what is going on here. I have this 5-minute epoxy. I got this black epoxy, System 3. 5 minutes. 5-minute epoxy. Okay. Well, I mixed it up. I put it in there. I painted it on here and on there. And by the time I started putting everything together, this wouldn't go in anymore. Wouldn't go in all the way. And I made such a mess. Before that, I spent all this time getting this collar on nice and neat. And okay, I made a mess of that anyway. I would have made a mess of that anyway, but now I have to clean the whole thing off. I have to drill this out again. Have to make a new one of these. And so then I got mad, you know. And then after that, I thought, you know, well, maybe I can actually make the Sportsman's knife video that I wanted to make, and everything will be okay. And then I couldn't find this sheath. You know, I had the boxes, had the paperwork, I had this in its box, but I couldn't. I mean, like, how can I make the video if I can't find the sheath for this Cutco Sportsman's knife? Aside from which, I should know where the sheath. How can I not find the sheath right now? That's insane, right? And I became despondent. But then eventually I found it, and I thought, well, you know what? Maybe I'll make that video after all. Thanks for watching.